Hey everybody, Dr. Brian Damhoff, Elite Performance Institute, back with another virtual workout here. I'm going to put on some strength work for runners, and today for required equipment, we've got the resistance band as always, and then our Swiss ball is going to be required for today's workout as well. Some other things that are optional would be weights, backpack, board, kitchen chair, something like that, something you could do some Bulgarian split squats off of, which is what we're going to start with today. So we're going to do a variation, one that's a little different than some of the other ones that we've done before. So on this one, I'm going to hold just a lighter kettlebell today. And then same thing as always, got to put the foot up there, make sure it's nice and flat. I don't want it to be way up like that. I'm going to go forward this way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down just like normal. But when I come up, I'm going to come up and just have a little hop. I'm not trying to jump maximally or anything like that, but definitely a little more explosive than when I'm going down. If that causes issues for you, then just do a regular Bulgarian split squat. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to do 3 sets of 6. For me, I'm going to use a 25-pound kettlebell here, so a little lighter than I normally do, but I'm going to make sure I get that hop every single time. So let's go ahead and get to work with the first move in today's workout. Feel how that works a little differently than the regular Bulgarian split squats. Good, first set in the books, 2-minute recovery here. Make sure on this one, chest stays nice and tall, and we want our weight staying on that front leg for the most part. I find that a lot of times people put too much weight on that back leg, but we want to keep all that weight right there in the front on that front leg. If you got some water, go ahead and get a drink. We'll get 2 minutes in between sets on this particular move. When we do the rest of our work today, we're going to kind of interchange some different things. So we'll be doing some glutes with some core and some calves and different things like that. So that way we got to piece it together and make sure that we give each body part the appropriate recovery. Because recovery is king. We definitely don't want to be fatiguing our muscles by doing the same thing over and over again. So the way we kind of piece together everything is to make sure that we pick moves that are appropriate for different body parts. And we always want to target some glutes. We want to target some calves. We want to target some core and get some legs in there as well. The nice part is these Bulgarian split squats, number one exercise. These are the ones that they get everything in the legs firing, which is awesome. And it's definitely, as I always say, my top move for runners. If you only had time to do one thing, this would be a great move to do, that's for sure. On the second set, again, let's make sure that our chest stays nice and tall. If you found that you can't do the hop, it might be better just to go up a little bit faster than what you go down. And that can be your kind of explosive, but in a manner that's a little easier for you to do. So we're going to get started here on this second set. And again, keep all that weight on that front leg. Try to keep that back leg nice and relaxed here. Good. Again, nice 2-minute recovery here. 3 sets of 6 on this. 6 is going to be our common theme today for repetitions. I always try to pick something between 5 to 15 repetitions. Research shows that if you're doing more than that, then you're not going to get the correct strength benefits for what we're looking for. And we always want to get the most bang for our buck when it comes to doing anything, whether it's getting 8 hours of sleep a night, hydrating well enough, eating the right foods, all that stuff, because it all plays into that equation when it comes to distance running, endurance athletes, everything like that. There's so many variables that go into it that you want to dot as many I's and cross as many T's as you can. And this is one of those areas that I think a lot of runners aren't dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Same with coaches. I coach high school track and field and cross country. Been doing that for the last 11 years, and I find this type of work to be really important for distance runners. And I think it's one of those areas that runners are getting smarter. They know they need to be doing some strength work, but a lot of them don't know what to do. But if you follow along with me and check out my workouts here on YouTube, guaranteed you'll know that you're doing the right stuff, and hopefully you can find some workouts on here that will work for you. We got one more set on this, and you guys can definitely appreciate the difference on how hard it is compared to a regular one. Regular ones are great as well, but I like to switch it up every now and then and just give a little bit of a different stimulus, you know, almost like within distance running with our workouts, to giving a little bit of a different stimulus here or there is always a good thing, whether that be you know, tempos or whatever you're doing, and hopefully you're doing that on a regular basis as well. So we're gonna do this last set here, and same thing, good form, all the weight on that front leg, chest nice and tall, little hop, doesn't have to be mega explosive, nothing like that. Try to pay attention to that form here. Excellent. Whew. That was a excellent move for sure. So we'll catch our breath here. Then we're going to move on to the next thing. If you got water, go ahead and get a sip here. Next set of exercises that we're going to move on to are going to be some lunges. We're going to lunge in different vectors. So today we're going to do front lunges. We're going to go backwards, and then we're going to do backwards 45. And I'll show them to you guys as well. And then we're gonna pair that with a core move using the Swiss ball. So I got 3 different core moves with that Swiss ball. Plus we got the lunges where we're gonna lunge in different vectors. We won't need the chair anymore, so you go ahead and just throw that out of the way. And then for these lunges, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold 2 kettlebells here at my side. You can do whatever you want for what you have. The first one we're gonna do is gonna be a front lunge. Really important that when we do our front lunge, we want to take a big step. I always tell people, pretend like you're stepping over a log every time that you do that front lunge, and then return to that normal position. We're going to do 6 on each leg, so we're going to do a total of 12 if you're counting continuous there. Make sure that chest stays nice and tall, and then take that nice big step, just like you're stepping over a log. So we'll get started here on that first set. Good. And again, get a little sip of water. Next thing we're going to do is going to be stir the pot with that Swiss ball. And I'll show you guys how to do that. That way we do it correctly. So essentially what we're going to be doing with this Swiss ball is we're going to get on the Swiss ball in a front plank position, but we're going to make sure that we go wide with our legs. If you want to make it harder, if this is an exercise that you've done before, you go more narrow with your legs, and that will definitely make it harder. If it's your first time doing this exercise, let's make sure we go nice and wide with those legs until we can build some rhythm. So I'm going to be in this front plank position here, just like this, and then what I'm going to do with this ball is I'm going to stir the pot. So I always think it's like a witch and it's stirring the big pot here. That's what we want to do. A couple keys: make sure that we're kind of under it here. We don't want to be out here. We don't want to start way out here. Start under it, and then start with small circles. We're going to go 8 one direction, and then we're gonna go 8 the other direction. So start small, and if it's too easy for you, you can go with bigger circles. If that's still too easy for you, then go really narrow with your feet. So we're gonna go 8 each direction here. Use that good form and pay attention to everything that you're doing here. Don't forget to breathe. Make sure your back is staying nice and locked. It shouldn't move at all. Excellent. That one's a tough one for sure. And then we're going to go back to our lunges here. So the next one that we're going to do, it's going to be a backwards lunge. It's almost the same as the front lunge with some of the cues that we're looking for. So we want to keep that chest nice and tall. And then from here, I'm just going to hold the weights. And again, I'm just going to lunge back. That big thing that I see is people want to do this with their chest. We don't want to do that. And we also want to have good stability through there. So you kind of have to use your brain on this one, especially as you get a little fatigued, to pay attention to your form. We're going to do that same thing, 6 on each leg. So if you're counting continuous, that will be 12. And I'm going to use the same weight that I used before, 2 35-pound kettlebells, so whatever is appropriate for you. And then let's go ahead and get started with these backwards lunges here. Good. And then again, let's get a little sip of water. And then we're going to go back to the core and do another variation with this Swiss ball here. So I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do on this next one here. But with this Swiss ball, we're going to go back to being in a front plank position on here. And again, the more narrow you go with your legs, the harder it's going to be on the core. Again, if it's your first time doing it, let's go a little wider with the legs, so that way we can be sure that we're not going to fall over or anything like that. And then what I'm going to do in this front plank position, again, have my hands kind of over it. I'm going to go back and forth here. Just nice, slow, in control. I don't want you rushing, anything like that. The wider that you go, the more you're going to feel it in that core. So again, why don't we just kind of start with feeling it out, and if it feels easy, then let's go back and forth even wider. And if that's easy, let's go ahead and put the legs a little more narrow. I'm going to take the watch off so I can time us here. We're going to do it for 45 seconds. So try to use that good form here. I'll give you guys a halfway so that way you kind of know. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. Halfway. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. You got 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Excellent work. Grab a sip of water, and then we're going to go back to another lunge variation. This time we're going to do a backwards 45-degree lunge. And I'll show you guys before we do that, so that way we make sure our form is on point. For the backwards lunge, they're a little tougher, so I'm going to use a little less weight than I used on those forward lunges and the backward lunges as well. I'm going to find the starting point here. I'm going to make sure my toes stay pointed this way that whole time. I'm going to hold the weight right here, and then I'm going to go to backwards 45 and lunge into it. Be a little careful with it the first couple. Whatever you have for range of motion, this leg is going to stay straight. Don't bend it. A lot of people make that mistake of bending it that way, but it stays straight as I lunge into it. And again, that chest stays nice and tall. We're gonna make sure when we go back that we're not doing that with that chest. So keep that chest nice and tall. I'm gonna use 25-pound kettlebell. We're gonna do 6 on each leg, so a grand total of 12. Same thing as we did before. So go ahead and grab that appropriate weight, and then let's get these 6 repetitions on each leg in here. So. Sure, the chest is staying tall. Excellent. Then let's grab another sip of water, and then we'll do our last set on the ball here for core. So now we've kind of hammered that core a little bit. We're gonna do one last move here, and simply what we're gonna do is a front plank on that Swiss ball. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but the more narrow your feet are, the harder this exercise is gonna be. Again, if you're kind of brand new, let's go wider. We're gonna hold for 45 seconds. Make sure that when you hold, again, keep those elbows kind of under you. Don't be way out there. That's gonna be real hard on that shoulder, everything like that. And try to do your best to make sure that your back stays flat. We don't want it to collapse down. That'll put a lot of pressure on that low back. We don't need to do that. So we're gonna do a 45-second hold here. So get ready to go here in 3, 2, 1, and up. And if you want to make it harder, you could do that variation that we did just before, where you go up and down. You could also go side to side, or if this is hard enough for you, go ahead and just hold here. We're halfway. You guys are doing great. We got 10 more seconds. You got it. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Great job, guys. That was great work. And we're going to move on to our next thing here. And you could go ahead and grab a sip of water. We're going to kind of shift gears a little bit. So what we're going to do next is a little bit of a glute series. And we're going to pair that with some calf raises. So I'm going to show you what we're doing in that series. It's 3 different moves with the resistance band on. So we're all at the red carpet here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put on this resistance band. You're going to put it around your knees. You can put it right at knee level, which is what I prefer, or you can put it a little below or a little above. And if you guys have done my workouts before, you guys know that I love using the resistance band. I think it's very versatile and a worthy investment, especially if you can get a 10-inch one that's heavy resistance. That's what I prefer to use for my resistance bands. So in our series, what we're gonna do is 10 clamshells, 10 glute bridges, and 10 fire hydrants. So on those clamshells, I'm gonna show you all 3 moves real fast. We're gonna make sure that knees are up high enough, toes are back here, we're tucked in. We're gonna make sure that when we go up and down, no rotation occurs at that hip. That's really, really key. No rotation. If you need to, you can do it against the wall, so that way you don't do it. I like to put my hand right here so I can feel that glute fire every time I go up and down. So that's those clamshells. For the glute bridges, we're going to be here like this. We're going to bring those feet in towards the butt as close as you could be to it. With your hands, let's just make sure we're not pushing the ground. You can put them on your chest, you can put them above, whatever you want. I'm going to put a little gap here. I want to make sure I have an equal gap between knees and ankles. I'm going to bridge up, and when I get to the top, I'm going to squeeze my butt cheeks as hard as I can. It sounds goofy, but I always tell the athletes I coach, pretend like you're squeezing a penny and you don't want the penny to fall out. So that's how hard you want to squeeze. 10 really hard squeezes at the top. Make sure you're not hyperextending that low back. That's a really important key. Do not hyperextend the low back. Next move that we're gonna do is gonna be those fire hydrants. I'm gonna show you guys right here like this so you can see. On these ones, what we're doing is we're just bringing that leg out as far as we can. Let's make sure that when this leg goes out that I'm not swinging the opposite hip. So if you need to, you can take a foam roller and put it beside you so that way you don't. So those are the 3 moves we're gonna do there, and then I'll show you guys the calves. So let's go ahead, get on our hip here, and let's go ahead and start with 10 clamshells. And make sure that we're using that good form. Knees are up high enough, feet tucked in, and then no rotation at that hip. 10 good clamshells here. Good, let's flip sides. Same thing, good form. Knees are up high enough, toes are tucked back, no rotation at that hip. Excellent. Now we're going to go to those glute bridges, so we'll just go flat on our back here. Let's go ahead and tuck those feet in. Arms, whatever is comfortable, as long as you're not pushing off the ground. 10 really good squeezes. Get an equal gap between those knees and those ankles. Good, and then we're going to flip around, and then we're going to do those fire hydrants. Make sure that opposite hip doesn't wing out. I'm going to go ahead and put that foam roller there just to make sure I don't. And then 10 on either side. Good, and then we're going to flip sides, same thing. Excellent. Then we're going to take that band off. That's our first set. We're going to do 3 sets of those. And then we're going to do calf raises in between. And what I'm going to do for that calf raise, just to make it a little tougher, is I'm going to go ahead and put a backpack with weight in it. If you don't have that option at home, you can do whatever you want. I just don't want to do 30, 40 calf raises, which I could do without weight. So I'm going to do them 3 different ways. So each time that I do these, they're going to be a little different. I'm going to do toes pointed out for the first one, and I'm just going to wear that backpack. I'm going to do 10 repetitions, nice and slow. I'm using a board. Maybe you got a stair at home, whatever you have. If you just have the floor, that's perfectly fine as well. But I want to make sure by repetition 10, I'm feeling it in there. So my toes are going to stay pointed out that whole time, or as best as I could do on this small little board that I have here. Nice, smooth, and control. Good, and I'll grab a sip of water and then put that band back on, and then we got 2 more sets of that. So next one for the calf raises, toes will be in the middle, and then we'll point toes in. So we'll go ahead and put that resistance band back on here. And I like this little series because we can kind of rotate between exercises that work just a little bit different, and then be able to give ourselves enough recovery while we do those calf raises. So we'll kind of do the same thing here, and again, 10 repetitions. If you start to get fatigued and you feel like you can't get 10, there's no shame in that. In fact, it's a good thing. I'd rather you only do 8 than to do 15 or 20 or something like that. So always pick wisely when you pick the band. We're going to start with those clamshells. Again, no rotation of that hip. And then I like to just put that hand here to give myself some feedback so I can feel that glute fire when I bring it up in the air. I always think that's a good principle. So let's go ahead and get started on the second set. 10 repetitions here, good form. And then we'll flip to the other side. Same thing, good form. Knees are up high enough, toes are back, no rotation of that hip, 10 repetitions. Good, and then we're gonna go flat on our back. We're gonna do those glute bridges. Again, make sure that penny doesn't fall out. Get a really good squeeze of those butt cheeks, and then make sure that you're not hyperextending that low back. Equal distance between those knees and feet. Make sure we're not pressing with the arms at all. I just like to relax them on my chest or put them by my side. And 10 good repetitions here. Good, and then last but not least, we got those fire hydrants. Again, let's pay attention to that form. Make sure that opposite hip isn't going out. I like using that foam roller. You could also use a wall, whatever you have. 10 repetitions on either side here, and use that good form. Other side, same thing, good form. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely starting to feel it in there. Let's go ahead and take that band off, and then we're going to go back to those Cobb Raises. Go ahead and put the backpack back on with the weight. And on this set, what I'm going to do is just toes in the middle. Again, 10 repetitions, smooth and control. If you got a step at home, go ahead and do them on there, or just use a board, whatever you guys got. But 10 good repetitions here. Excellent, very solid. We got one more set of those, and then we'll be done for the day. So you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's grab a sip of water, and we'll put this band back on and really work hard this last set. Ideally, on every exercise, on those last repetitions, we want to be really feeling it. We don't want to be maxing it out so you can't run tomorrow or anything like that. But definitely being smart with the resistance or the weight for that particular exercise. That's a big part of the equation, to not just go through the motions when we're doing these exercises. So let's get this last set in here, and same thing as we did before, 10 repetitions. Use that good form, knees are up high enough, tuck those feet in, no rotation at that hip, 10 good repetitions here. Good, and let's flip sides, same thing. Really good form. Make sure you're feeling that glute fire underneath that hand. Good, and then we'll go flat on our backs for these glute bridges. Be careful. I always say when you start to get fatigued, that's where the form can go to crap. Much like running, when you start to get tired, your form can really suffer. So pay attention to that form. If you can't do 10 repetitions that are good quality, then go ahead and stop at 4 or 6 or whatever is the right number for you. Again, equal distance between knees and ankles. Squeeze those glutes really hard at the top. Don't let that penny fall out. The wider you go with your legs, the harder it'll be. Good, and then we just got the fire hydrants here. Again, if you can't get 10 good quality repetitions in, stop at whatever number is comfortable for you. But that same thing, let's make sure that opposite hip doesn't swing out here. So 10 good repetitions. Good, and on the other side, same thing. Whew, those last couple repetitions were definitely tough. Hopefully they were tough for you as well. Let's go ahead and take that band off. And then we got one more set on those calf raises. This time we're going to make sure that the toes are pointed in, and it's the same thing as we did before. So 10 solid repetitions here to end our day with toes pointing in. Excellent. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in for the workout. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out new content all the time. Great stuff for runners, so I hope you guys enjoy it and keep up the great work on everything that you're doing.